Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley here. Man, yo, Acho. He's out today, but we're going to keep it moving. Starting with the defending champs, and the Tampa Bay Bucs took care of business last night against the Eagles. You see me representing with these colors on, huh? And now, Tampa has won 3 straight games. Tom Brady threw for nearly 300 yards with 2 touchdown passes and now leads the league in both categories. The Bucs notched their 5th win of the season, tying it with the Cardinals for the most in the NFL. Joined now by Bucky Brooks and Slick Rick the Bucher, my dog. So, Slick, let's start with you. Are you sold on the Bucs as Super Bowl contenders?
I am not sold on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as contenders for 3 reasons. Number 1, it's because of what the Bucs are right now. 2, because of what the NFC is right now. And 3, what history tells us. Now, if I'm saying that I believe that they're Super Bowl contenders, that means that I expect them to win the NFC. And as of right now, they don't look to me like a team capable of winning the NFC. They're not as good as their record would suggest. Last in passing defense, rushing offense, a problem. And when I look at the NFC, it is stacked. It is loaded. We've got the Rams are legit. The Cardinals are legit. The Green Bay Packers are still legit. Hold on to your seat, Bucky Brooks. The Dallas Cowboys are legit. So when I look at who they have to get through, and I look at the way those teams are composed, particularly their passing offenses, and I look at how, look, Tampa Bay's passing defense wasn't good a year ago, and they won the Super Bowl. They're worse now, and I ultimately don't see it getting better. So when I put all that together, along with the historical fact that we've only seen one team repeat as NFC champion in the last 20 years, and that was the young, hungry, defensive-minded Seattle Seahawks, I simply can't look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and say that I expect them to win the NFC again.
Oh, nice thesis there. I like how you came out. You had it lined itemed 7 years ago. I mean, look, Slick, I love it. It was poetic, waxing poetic, but man, flawed in the logic. Of course, the Tampa Bay Bucs are Super Bowl contenders. Let's just start here. I don't know. Are they the reigning Super Bowl champions? Yes. Are they a better team than they were last year? In many categories, you could actually say yes. Let's start on the side where everyone's curious, the defensive side. Are they good enough on defense right now? Well, that run defense certainly is. It's number 1 in the NFL, and it is better than it was even last year at a historical pace. We're talking about 2000 Baltimore Ravens pace in terms of them in their run defense. Now, the pass defense is compromised largely just because it's a mash unit right now in terms of injuries. But those guys will return back to form. They have the second best odds by Fox Bet. Only the Buffalo Bills have better odds in terms of returning and winning to the Super Bowl. So if you look at that, the team that won last year looks better in many categories, especially offensively. Let's talk about Tom Brady looks better this year than he did at this time last year. Let's talk about the fact that you look at a team that's 3rd in scoring this year, but they bumped up the amount of points that they're scoring this year. It just all adds up to a team that looks like it's in the same position that, oh, by the way, returned every single starter from a Super Bowl championship team. So what do they say in boxing? To beat the champ, you got to knock the champ out? Well, who in the hell's going to knock the champ out? There are a bunch of teams out there, a bunch of contenders that may try to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, staying in our boxing analogy, on the scorecards, but who's going to knock them out? That's the problem. Every team we're going to mention, I will predict will flinch or blink in those magic moments that Tom Brady would never do. Tom Brady's the last quarterback we've seen go back-to-back. Tom Brady has been in 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls. I repeat, 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls. Hell yeah, his team's a contender again.
Yeah, no, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are certainly a contender. They're a team that looks like the front runner. When you watch them play, the game is very easy for them. I felt like they were bored against the Philadelphia Eagles last night. They just kind of didn't take them seriously. It was kind of like a cat playing with their food, to use a Giannis reference. They didn't really take care of business. but whenever they needed to, they certainly showed you that they have all the capabilities, particularly on offense. Tom Brady's playing at a high level, probably some of the best football that we've seen from him in the last couple of years. You look at all the weapons they have around him, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, you think about Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette running the ball well, which gives them another dimension, the offensive line protecting well. Defensively, Marcellus alluded to the run defense. They force you into long yardage situations because you can't run the football. So everything is there. Now, they're not a team without question because I do worry about load management when it comes to Tom Brady. I worry about the secondary holding up. But even with those concerns, they still are head and shoulders above the other teams in the NFC right now.
Woo! You know what? This is why it's important that I am with my astute NFL colleagues, because what I just heard was a lot of the Tom Brady haze. The Tom Brady just never fails. Tom Brady, it's Tom Brady. He's always there. It's always going to happen. Doesn't matter what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad, Marcellus, that you brought up, I believe you said, it appears that the offense is even better, or Tom Brady appears that he's even better than he was last year. Well, sometimes appearances can be deceiving based on who you are playing. And my concern isn't just with their passing defense. It's also a question of, is that passing offense really as good as we think it is based on how it's ranked and Tom Brady's numbers? Can we take a look at the actual competition that they've faced so far?
We're doing that.
And what those past defenses were like? Like, can we just take a look at who they've gone up against here? And who have they struggled against when they have faced a quality pass defense? Because that rushing offense hasn't been what it was a year ago. So when you look at what they did against the New England Patriots, struggled mightily. And both, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, the Cards and the Packers both have top 10 pass defenses. I would imagine one or both of those teams are going to be standing in their way to get there. So, look, are they capable of going to the Super Bowl? Yes, they're capable. But do I expect them at this point? No, because I'm taking away the Tom Brady haze. I'm taking a clear-eyed view of exactly who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have shown me to be to this point in the season. And I would give you that playing with their food, Super Bowl hangover. I'll give you that against Dallas. I'll give you that the first couple weeks. They've continued to look like there's a lethargy there with this team. And it may just be something a little bit more than a hangover.
Wow, so you don't want to just subscribe to the Tom Brady haze, huh? With the puff pass, give me some of that purple.
I do not want to just assume that Tom Brady is going to do it all over again.
He's been to 4 of the last 5. That ain't even an assumption. That's just the knowledge right there that Tom Brady is the dude in this certain situation. Look, passer rating's better for Tom Brady than last year, but you call that haze. Okay. Completion percentage is better this year than last year, but you call that haze. Okay. Yards per game is better this year. He can't do the schedule and beat everybody. He can't do both.
I know. Well, I'm just saying. I'm just poking a hole in the number. I'm not saying that it's not what it is. I'm just saying, how did he get there? Okay,
passing touchdowns projected to do more, 45 this year versus 40 last year. But since you want to poke holes, let's poke holes at the other teams. Because you're probably going to sit there and say the Cardinals. Well, they rank 29th in rush defense, so how they going to get off the field? Team's going to run the football on them. And don't lie, Slick. You know they going to blink one time in the playoffs. I don't know when, I don't know how, and I don't know how long their eyes going to stay closed, but they blinking. The Rams, that defense, total defense 23rd, pass defense 23rd, 30th on defense, third down, can't get off the field. They got problems as well. The Chiefs, should we just go on? They're scoring defense, bottom of the pile right now, 31st. Patrick Mahomes is pressing, turning the ball over, issues over there. Even my Chargers is on. I love my Chargers, ranked last in rush defense as well. Bills look strong, top 10, both sides. We respect them. But just 2 playoff wins in the last quarter of a century. Are they ready? they got close? Are they ready to go over that hump as well? You can't poke holes at the Bucs. Last year, we poked holes at the Bucs because we didn't know what we were witnessing. We didn't know what was happening with the Tampa Bay Bucs. 7-5 team, getting spanked twice by the New Orleans Saints. We're like, what is this team? And all of a sudden, they just ran the table. They have won 13 of their last 14 games, Slick. 13 of their last 14 games, Slick, by the tune of 14 points a game. They're not playing games. The same team that won it all last year came back and still hungry because they got the same leader that won it back-to-back last time.
Look, Marcellus, I agree with you on those points. When you talk about they are playing at a high level, 13 out of their last 14. I'm telling you, Slick, and you know you watch the NBA all the time. It's kind of like watching the Golden State Warriors in the middle of that run. Some of those regular season games, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, just kind of checking out, just trying to fast forward and get to the postseason. And so when I look at the Buccaneers, there is a little bit of that boredom. They started out hot. They sized up the Philadelphia Eagles, and they tasted their power and they said, they can't knock us out. So, I mean, we can play around and mess around. If we have to go 12 rounds to knock them out, we will, and that's what happened. But it wasn't a game that was really as close as the scoreboard indicated. And when I look at this schedule, man, I'm trying to sit here and see the Bears, the Saints, the Washington football team, the Giants. Who is going to knock them off? We don't really get another real contest into the Buffalo Bills in Week 14, and then they close out the season with division rivals. Man, we're talking about a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that maybe finishes with 2 losses, home field advantage. They have to win 2 to go to the show. Oh, if that is the case, you can pencil them in because Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to be there because Tom Brady knows how to get it done when he's given that opportunity.
Bucky, I'm glad you brought up the schedule because this is another element that I do feel is different, and I'm not going to argue with you. The Buccaneers' schedule looks very advantageous for them. But we've seen them struggle against lesser teams, which makes me question, okay, so are they going to drop a couple? And when I look at the other teams that I talked about, they have just as much of a chance of running away with their division as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do. The Dallas Cowboys certainly have the ability to do that. The Green Bay Packers, from what we've seen, have the ability to do that. Cardinals, Rams, that's going to be a dogfight, but right now the Cardinals are proving themselves to be the class of that division. So that certainty that I might have said going into the season that the Buccaneers would have as far as the rest of their division, I don't see that. I don't know that they're going to have that first week bye. I don't know that they're necessarily going to have home field advantage. And again, I look at everything that they've done to this point. Last year, I understood the slow start. You're bringing all these new pieces together. Tom Brady's got to get acclimated. I get it. There's really no reason for a slow start this year. I get the hangover aspect, not against the competition that they've played against. So I understood. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been there. They have done that. You guys conveniently only mention the teams that are newcomers, the Cowboys and the Cardinals in terms of the teams, or the Rams, in terms of the teams that might blink. But there's a couple of other teams that have demonstrated that they're right there. And if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall off just a little bit, I still like the Green Bay Packers' chances of reversing what happened a year ago.
Boy, you say we in the haze. Sound like you in the haze, too. Up in that Bay Area, it's legal. Because what the hell? You talking about slow start. How many games have the Buccaneers lost this year? Slick, you got to pick a side now. You say slow start, and they are tied in the NFL for the most wins.
Have they played well? Have they played like Super Bowl champs up to this point? I said the record's not reflective of how they've played. You have to agree with me on that. You guys keep telling me there's this lethargy, they're sleepwalking, they're playing with their food, but they're Super Bowl champs.
No.
You talk about picking a side. You pick a side. Are they playing like Super Bowl champions or are they not?
They are actually playing like Super Bowl champs. You know why? Because they got a bullseye on their back. Every team that they face is coming at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like it's their Super Bowl on Sunday. Tampa Bay like, yo, it's just week 3. It's week 4. And y'all over here acting like we over here SoFi in February. Okay, fine. We're going to play with our food. We're going to get the W, but we're going to make y'all feel good in the process. It's the same thing that happened, Slick, when I raced my little son, little MJ, little 6-year-old. Yeah, he fast for a 6-year-old, just like everybody in NFL is a good team. All black belts. Look, former collegiate All-Americans and first-rounders and #1 picks. Ain't nobody sorry in the NFL. However, there are levels to this. So when I race my son, MJ, I don't beat him by 100 meters in the 100-meter dash. It looks close, right? You know, make him feel good. But I still get that W, just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No matter who they face, sometimes it looks a little close. But they get those W's. You got to respect what they're doing right here, Slick. Last year, the defense led the charge as the offense was shoring up and figuring it out. This year, it's a seesaw effect. They just flipped it. All right, offense, y'all look better this year than we do. But we're going to get healthy on the back end. We already look amazing up front. Our front seven balling out of control. And you know we're going to stop the other teams from running the football. So that means we're going to win time of possession. Well, that means Tom Brady's going to get more opportunities. And that's why Tom Brady's out there clicking like he is. All of that adds up to not only Super Bowl contenders again, but if Tom Brady has his way like he did in 03, 04, sounds like back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Coming up, does Bill Belichick have something in store for the Cowboys this weekend? I'll tell you if Dallas should be on upset alert. But first, the Browns have a tough test against the undefeated Cardinals. I'll tell you if Baker Mayfield needs a statement win. Next, don't speak for yourself. Purple Haze edition.
The Browns will try to hand the Cardinals their first loss of the season Sunday on Fox. Kyler Murray is an MVP candidate, while Baker Mayfield only has 4 TD passes through the first 5 games, and his Browns are currently in 3rd place in the AFC North. So, Marcellus.
Yes.
Does Baker need a statement win against Kyler's Cardinals?
He actually does. Let's be real about this. He needs a statement win, a signature win. He needs to wash away some of our thoughts and memories of him coming up short when they needed him most. Let's go all the way back to the Kansas City game this year, week 1. Have an opportunity to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's when the Chiefs were good, actually, when we thought they were good at least. And had a moment in a potentially game-winning drive. And what does Baker Mayfield do? Decide to throw it to the team with the other color on. You fast forward to last week when we see him in SoFi Stadium. Baker Mayfield, once again, a signature moment. What does Baker Mayfield do? Throw the ball to the end of his nose 3 times. Check down, check down, check down. Hit his face mask every time. And then looks up, the team falls short, despite putting up 42 points. Largely because of the running game. So now, if you're a teammate of Baker Mayfield, you're not saying anything to him. Trust me, I've been through quarterback controversies before. Google Rob Johnson, Doug Flutie, then you know what I'm talking about. But it's not what the teammates say. It's what the teammates are thinking. Because that's what starts to lean towards the confidence you have in your coach and your quarterback, or the confidence you don't have in your coach and your quarterback. Why do I bring up the coach? Because you're like, coach, you're employing this type of behavior. You're employing this guy to go out there and make these plays and not make the signature plays we need to get over the hump. Let's talk about Baker's wins this year. Who has he beaten at the quarterback position? This is why he needs a statement win. He's beaten Tyrod Taylor / Davis Mills. He's beaten Kirk Cousins, and he's beaten Justin Fields on his first start ever. Who has he lost to? Oh, he just lost to Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Hey, Baker Mayfield, if you're going to be a franchise quarterback, you know what you need to do? You need to get a W and outduel one of those great quarterbacks in our game. Right now, you got a perfect opportunity. You got Kyler Murray this weekend, who is the front runner for the MVP. So, yeah, Baker Mayfield, just to silence the thoughts of his teammates who are starting to doubt him, if he can get him over the hump, he needs to have that statement win.
Yeah, no, I don't think this has anything to do with making a statement, a signature, or anything like that. I think we know what Baker Mayfield is. When you're 50 games into your NFL career, look, the concrete has already been hard. We know exactly who he is. He is not going to change. He's going to continue to be the same player that he's always been. Now, what we have to do is change our expectations of him based on what he is compared to what he was supposed to be when he came into the league. Most NFL executives would tell you, it takes about 32 starts to figure out what a quarterback is, whether he can play or not. 50 starts into his career? We know Baker Mayfield. Look, he's a mid-level quarterback. He's a quarterback that's capable of leading your team to wins. You can get to a Super Bowl, maybe even win a Super Bowl with him, but you won't necessarily win it because of him, and there's nothing wrong with that. So All he needs to do is win. It won't make a statement on who he is in terms of the lexicon of the quarterbacks in the league. It'll just make a statement on how good the Browns are and what their potential is this season.
I'm with you, Buck. No, he does not need a statement win. In fact, I can imagine Kevin Stefanski hearing this subject come up and thinking, I hope Baker's not watching that. I hope he's not thinking that with Nick Chubb out, it's time for Baker to step up and ride to the rescue. I'm going to get it done. Because that's when the Cleveland Browns are at their worst. The only statement that he could make is, I'm not going to get in the way of how good the rest of the team is. That would be the statement. The signature, if it's Baker's on this team, on this game, then there's going to be problems ultimately. Because we've seen it.
Yeah.
When Baker is the main thing, the three times that he has passed for 300-plus yards, including just last week, the Browns have lost all those games. When he is at their best, it's not necessarily what's best for the Cleveland Browns. So less is more without question when it comes to Baker Mayfield. I hope, for the Browns' sake, that he doesn't go into this game thinking, well, Nick Chubb is out. I'm going up against my old guy, Kyler Murray. I need to show the world that I can get this done. Because every time he's approached it that way, it has not worked out for the Cleveland Browns.
Nah, y'all making my point. And I agree with you guys in helping me make my point, which is you need a statement game. You need a statement win. You can't just have a resume that keeps saying the most of Baker Mayfield is the worst for the Cleveland Browns. So now it's time to do both. Do the most, Baker. Get over 300 passing yards. Throw some touchdowns, no interceptions. But also get the victory and get it against an accomplished, great quarterback. He has all of that in front of him. I love you, Bucky, but you said something that just took me back. I had a flashback when you said, well, after 32 games, we know who you are as a quarterback in this league. And he's played 50 games. Well, I'll go back to those Rich Gannon days. And I don't know if people saw Rich Gannon after 32 games and said, okay, he's this. Because whatever you stamped him at 32, you changed your mind once you saw him after 50 and you saw him with those Raiders. Rich Gannon was coming, and he continued to evolve. Baker Mayfield may continue to evolve. I'm not so certain. Multiple coaches, multiple coordinators. Maybe Baker Mayfield still has some better football in front of him. You know I'm not a Baker supporter, but I ain't going to condemn the dude and say, oh, career over. You're stuck at wherever you are in mediocrity. Hell no, I'm not about to do all that. I'm going to keep it 100, and this is going to be 100 right here. His worst crime on this team is not the fact that he comes up a little short when they need him most at the end of the games. It's not that. Because, look, let's be real. He did score 42 points, even though it was a large contribution from the running game. His biggest crime is ruining Odell Beckham Jr. The biggest crime right now is occurring on that roster and Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Odell, you're not absolved of guilt either. You're out there dropping passes. I saw it at SoFi, hit you right there in the hands, and Baker Mayfield just sitting there like, oh, my. I don't know if I'm going to give him any more targets. But the point is, that relationship, that chemistry, something has to give in that. Because imagine what this offense will look like. Imagine what Baker Mayfield will look like if he didn't ruin and waste Odell Beckham. All of that adds up to, look, you have it all in front of you. Your running game is compromised this game. You're going against Kyler Murray. You're going against the only team that hasn't had a loss this year. And you need a statement win so we can wash away some of the sins you've had this year.
Like, I like that, Marcellus. I like all those things you talked about, bringing up Rich Gannon. I played Rich Gannon in Kansas City and in Oakland. I remember his emergence, and he playing like as an MVP. Baker Mayfield ain't Rich Gannon. He's not Rich Gannon. It's not going to be a Rich Gannon conversation.
Rich Gannon wasn't Rich Gannon.
It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of Rick, because Rick, when he goes to the finals every year, he's in it. Kind of reminds me of Matthew Dellavedova. Remember when Matthew Dellavedova was balling, and it was Matthew Dellavedova in the Cavs, and he was just going at it. He was going at Steph Curry. We were like, you know what? Maybe Matthew Dellavedova is a baller. And then the next year we saw him in Milwaukee, and he was just the same guy. It doesn't change. So that's what it is. Look, you are what you are. That's your station in life. So I'm not going to get caught up if Baker Mayfield has a 400, 500, 600-yard performance. We have seen him play long enough in this system to know exactly what he is. He's a bus driver. Like, he just, look, they got all the things. He just kind of drops it off, gives it to him. He doesn't do all that. he is not going to be the guy that is the reason why the Cleveland Browns win and win at a high level.
Yeah, Marcellus, I think it comes down to, I mean, we all have a very similar view on who Baker Mayfield is or what he has done. Certainly, it comes down to the definition of what a statement win or a signature win is, which in my mind is Baker needs to put his stamp on this game. Baker has to make this his win. And I believe that's where they get into trouble. If he's going to throw for 300 yards, that means he's throwing downfield. That means he's throwing into some windows. That means he's taking control of the offense. The formula for the Cleveland Browns in winning, and I believe it's still important that they win as opposed to Baker making a statement, and how they win is play defense, run the ball, and don't ask too much of Baker Mayfield. That, to me, is how the Cleveland Browns are at their best. And my concern is in thinking that he has to make a statement, he's going to go outside of that. To your point, we've seen him when he tries to do a little too much. It does not work out well. So I don't want him thinking that way. I don't want him thinking, I need to show everybody that I can have a big game and we can win. Because I just don't believe in that formula for the Cleveland Browns.
So you're just going to go to norms and just order more checkdowns, huh? That's what you want from Baker Mayfield? Just showing up to your table, check down.
If it wins games, I'll take what I can get.
Man, hell no. We already said they're compromising the running game because Chubb's out, so it's not going to win games the same way. Look, we know Kareem Hunt could go do his thing, but point being, Baker Mayfield needs to do this. Athletes are irrational beings. Like, we have to think that we are out of this world to even compete in this world. Like, every one of us gets in the weight room, every one of us watches film, and every one of us imagines us doing it at the highest level and doing it the best. If not, you're not going to be a professional athlete, let's be real, let alone the #1 overall pick in Baker Mayfield. That said, Baker Mayfield can't rob this team. This is a Super Bowl contending team. Baker Mayfield can't rob this team of it being irrational. He can't rob this team of it being cocky. You know what's going to happen if Baker Mayfield doesn't give them that statement win? They won't believe that Baker Mayfield can get them over the hump. What are you going to think? We all project, we all forecast, man, we're going to end up having to play, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Herbert, and then it's going to come down that last drive, and then what Baker going to do? He going to check down and go to norms again, or what he going to do? He going to hand the ball off again? Like, that ain't going to work. So, Baker Mayfield, do yourself a favor. Before it gets to that moment of truth in the playoffs for real, go out there and get a statement win. Sign on the dotted line in the minds of your teammates and make them believe in you in that moment, because it's coming. And hopefully Baker Mayfield will be ready for it. Coming up, this is going to be a tough one for me. Speaking of quarterbacks, I'll tell you which one I'd rather have. Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert, my brother from another. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Tonight on Fox, the ALCS begins as the Red Sox take on the Astros in Houston. ALCS Game 1 tonight, 7:30 Eastern, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Two of the top quarterbacks in football will be featured Sunday when my Chargers face my Ravens. Lamar Jackson led his Ravens back from a 19-point deficit in Monday night's win. And Justin Herbert, the great, is coming off a 5 total touchdown performance last week, and the Chargers win. Okay. Lamar praised Herbert Thursday. Take a listen.
I really haven't watched those guys like that, but I do see him on Instagram and stuff like that, flashing around doing his thing. You know, he's a very talented quarterback, and, you know, he's been doing his thing. Hopefully slow down a little bit when we're playing against him. You know, we don't want to hype him up too bad this week, man, you know, but he's definitely been balling out of control.
Speaking of slowing down, Lamar be talking that Florida talk. So, Bucky, which quarterback would you rather have? Them Florida boys were funny. Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert?
Man, this is a tough one. This is probably about the toughest debate that you can get when you talk about young quarterbacks that have everything that you look for. But I'm going to skew towards Lamar Jackson. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson in this debate only because Lamar Jackson is ranked in the top 10 in rushing yards and passing yards. You know, we took Lamar Jackson to task for his passing prowess, but this year he is averaging over 300 passing yards per game. His completion percentage is the highest that he's had in his career, and his passer rating is over 100 at 104. And so everything that we've asked to see from Lamar Jackson. He is responding. He's responded in splendid fashion while still retaining the superpowers that we talk about make him dangerous, which is the running ability. And so as I see this Baltimore Ravens offense evolve, and as Lamar Jackson is doing more things than just running the read option and doing quarterback design runs, he is becoming the quarterback that we eventually want to see. And, oh, by the way, he's doing it while still winning. It is crazy to say that Lamar Jackson is playing the best that he's ever played, and he's already been an MVP. Give me that guy.
Yeah, this is very tough, and I could go either way. I really want to kind of devote my time to Marcellus because I know that this is going to be pure torture for you. But I am going to take Justin Herbert, and it is just in terms of big picture, start with 6'6", 237 pounds as a quarterback, and far more agile than you would ever expect. I mean, that's one of the things. When I first saw those numbers, I was like, really? He's that big? Because the way he moves doesn't make me think of someone that big in comparison to Lamar Jackson, 6'2", 212. He can operate without having to run. So ultimately, between the two, the numbers right now, as Bucky alluded to, are practically even in terms of what they are doing. But Herbert's durability, to me, gives him an edge, along with the fact that he's just been a little bit better in terms of turnovers, in terms of interceptions, in terms of avoiding getting sacked. I agree. The superpower of Lamar Jackson running the ball, that is an X factor that people still haven't figured out. But Justin Herbert has done all of that without needing to expose himself as a runner. And so that's the slight edge that I'm going to give Justin Herbert.
Okay. Tough talk time right here.
I can't wait.
Lord. So, Bucky, you win Lamar. Slick, you win Herbert. Typical. Let me break the racial tie right here that you guys just tied. The hell? Y'all lazy as hell.
Wow.
And then Slick go double down tomorrow. You don't expect Herbert to move like that. God dang, Slick. It's 2021. Yeah, we do. I digress.
It's because he's 6'6", 237, not because of the color of his skin, you knucklehead.
I mean, I know that, but clickbait don't, so hopefully it gets clickbait. All right, here's the thing. Let me break this tie right here. I got to go with Lamar Herbert. I got a better name.
What?
How about Justin Jackson, who was born in a liquor store? We got to, he ran to freedom. That boy, Justin Jackson, boy, you know he was born in a liquor store. Let me stop. I have to give you my love story. And my love story for both of these guys goes long and it goes deep. But the problem is one of them has been longer, and it's Lamar Jackson. And because Lamar Jackson is an underdog, and why do I call him an underdog? Because he shouldn't have been the 32nd pick. He was drafted in the same class as Baker Mayfield, #1 overall. What the hell? He was drafted with Josh Allen. They both looking at Baker like, what the hell is this? So I got to give respect to Lamar Jackson, who, since he's been a player in the NFL as a starter, has had 2 more wins than Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady with 2 fewer starts. That's Lamar Jackson, y'all. I'm going to give some love to a guy that the neighborhood was saying, oh, man, he can't even play the position. You know, Bill Polian, neighborhood watch, tell him, oh, he need to be a running back. And then his mama all in the business. Mama's the agent. Lamar Jackson just had it rough. And then no one believed that he could achieve what he's achieved. And what has he achieved? Unanimous MVP. Only 2 of those guys on this planet. And Lamar Jackson is one of them. I'm not going to take shots at Justin Herbert because you know what? All of those shots would miss. Justin Herbert is amazing. This is one of those drafts where if you're picking number 2, you're actually happy because whoever the guy takes at number 1, you're going to take the other guy. But let me give Justin Jackson, Lamar Jackson his flowers. Lamar Jackson right now is beating Justin Herbert in one major statistical category that a lot of people wouldn't think. Yards per attempt. Yes, Lamar Jackson is throwing a deep ball better than Justin Herbert. Also, of course, he's leading in total yards per game, 372 to Justin Herbert's 327. Lamar Jackson is on the MVP pace once again, a better pace than he was in his MVP year. Lamar won the MVP in 2019 unanimous style. This year, he has 100 yards per game more in the passing game than he did when he won the MVP in 2019. Lamar Jackson's insane, y'all. And we don't even see it coming. You like, all right, he's not supposed to play the position. Not supposed to play the position this well. He can't throw. You hear all the naysayers, and he continues to have answers. So for that slight edge right there, I'm saying Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a really interesting debate in the scouting community because the one thing I would say about Justin Herbert, he is prototypical. He is exactly what you want in a franchise quarterback. If we were drafting and drawing him up, you don't find guys who are 6'6", 237 pounds, who have high IQ, who have the ability to not only throw with tremendous arm talent, but they're athletic enough to do things outside of the pocket. And when you hear Brandon Staley talk about him and use words, superstar, take chances on fourth down because he says, we have that special guy that you want to give him opportunities, I think there is something to be said for what he brings to the table. And I think John Harbaugh feels the same way about Lamar Jackson. Ultimately, this comes down to going to the ice cream shop and trying to figure out what kind of scoop do you want to put in the ice cream cone. Do you want the guy that can play the traditional way like Justin Herbert, or do you want Rocky Road, somebody who has a little extra to it, which is Lamar Jackson? Either way, man, I love the way both of these guys play, but still give me Lamar Jackson because his style is unique and it's a little difficult, more difficult to prepare for because he brings the extra stuff as they run at the quarterback position.
Yeah, the beauty of this is not only on the field, but off the field. You can't go wrong with either one of these guys being the face of your franchise. The way they carry themselves, the way they speak on behalf of the team. But, I mean, Marcellus, you've been to SoFi Stadium. You can tell me all about having a longer relationship with Lamar Jackson, but that's a long-distance relationship. You've been in the building with Justin Herbert. You've seen the magic in person. You've been able to reach out and touch him, and now you're telling me, yeah, but no, that you cannot.
Why not?
That is your team.
No.
That is your city. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? Oh. We're doubling the price on Marcellus' season tickets as a result of this?
Hell no, they ain't doing that.
Okay.
Them tickets free. You can't double free. Here's the thing. Look, distance makes the heart grow fonder. Think about that. Slick, you're a married man. I'm a married man. Let's not talk about our marriages, but basically, you know how it goes. When you're away from the wife, it's okay. It's all right. You know, I love you, honey. But when you see her every day, you're like, I love you. I love you. Good Lord. Give me some time and some space. All right, here's the thing.
I hope she's not watching this.
She never watches, I hope. Bucky, you triple down on the racism. How are you going to go to the ice cream shop and just order vanilla or chocolate? Like, there's so many other flavors there. Here go Bucky again. Vanilla or chocolate. I'm telling y'all, I'm watching y'all with these little social cues. Herbert does it in a way that you can see coming, but it's just unstoppable. Like you said, prototypical. This is the way we draw it up. But no one can stop that. Lamar Jackson is a different type of animal. Like, it really reminds me of my son, once again. Every block I talk about MJ because that's my favorite thing in this world. MJ is left-handed. Beyond being a little beast at 6 years old, he left-handed. So it's so funny you don't see that coming. We're all wired. We're all trained. Every time you see these little 6-year-old kids, they always going to the right. And they always seeing him playing soccer, and like, they try to stop his right foot. I'm like, he gonna use the other one on you. And then, that's what happens. That's Lamar Jackson. Like, we're all trained to see a prototypical quarterback. Even though it's unstoppable, you still know that program. When you see Lamar Jackson, you have no idea what's coming, and you have no idea how to stop it. Staying with this matchup, don't miss your chance to win $100,000 of Terry Bradshaw's money on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. It's time to make our picks. Scan the QR code, download the app, and play along with us for free. Chargers, Ravens is one of the feature matchups, and 54% of America is picking the Chargers so far. Smart America. So, Slick, who wins and by how many points?
I've actually got the Ravens winning this 27-24. We're talking about the quarterbacks, but I think it's going to come down to the Ravens rushing offense versus the Chargers rushing defense. And that's going to be the difference maker.
You got Buck?
Hey, look, man, I play for the Chiefs and the Raiders. No way I can pick the Chargers. Give me the Ravens 30-27.
Sorry, guys. It's going to be the Chargers. My tickets are cheap again. Chargers by 2, 31-29. I made up for that. Fox Bet Super 6 has given away over $5 million total, and you could be the next jackpot winner. Download the app, pick the outcomes of 6 NFL games for your shot to win Terry's money. It's completely free to play. And my career prompter. Coming up, Dak Prescott's Cowboys are rolling. But here comes Bill Belichick's Patriots. Tell you if Dallas should be on upset alert. That's next on Speak for Yourself, Racial Edition.
The Cowboys will try to extend their 4-game win streak when they play the Patriots on Sunday. New England is 2-3, but Dak Prescott said Bill Belichick's squad tries to, quote, take away your fastball. The Cowboys are currently favored by 3.5 points on the road, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. So, Marcellus,
yes,
I have to ask, should the Cowboys be on upset alert against Belichick's Patriots?
Yes, they should be on upset alert. They may be upset after this game because when you go against Bill Belichick, the human Rubik's Cube, boy, you're going to have problems, especially offensively. Ask Tom Brady, who I think one of you guys is probably thinking is the MVP front-runner. It's safe to assume that. Tom Brady had his worst game of the year going against Bill Belichick and these Patriots. A lot of people could say, oh, it's just because he knows Tom Brady so well. Well, Tom Brady knows him well also. And Tom Brady didn't answer that bell, didn't answer that call correctly. Look at teams when they face the Patriots and watch what happens to their quarterbacks. This year with this Patriots defense, once again, another top defense, 4th in pass defense, 5th in scoring defense, and 5th in total defense. Look what they do to the opposing quarterbacks. 81 passer rating and 59% completion percentage. Oh, they're going to take away your fastball. They take away your curveball, your off-speed. They take away everything you want to do in terms of performance. So now you look at this team, the Patriots. Do they have an aura to them anymore? Do they have mind control over Debo and Dallas Cowboys? Do you know the last time the Dallas Cowboys have beat the Patriots? You know when that was? Biggie and Pac were still alive, y'all. 1996 is the last time we've seen the Cowboys go out there and beat the Patriots. With that Rubik's Cube and Bill Belichick still controlling this defense and maybe still having that aura of invincibility, Cowboys, be careful, y'all. Y'all could be on upset alert for real.
Hold on now. Wait a minute. Now, I came up here and I was supposed to say that, look, the Cowboys shouldn't be worried about, I should be on upset alert and all this. But then you just painted this picture like I'm going to see Willie McGinnis and Teddy Bruschi and all these guys run out the tunnel. And that's not true because you put these numbers up where you talk about what the Patriots are doing to quarterbacks. But I saw it with my own eyes last week. Davis Mills. Do you know who Davis Mills is? Mm-hmm. Davis Mills is the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. Mm-hmm. He had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Before that, he couldn't scratch. He couldn't do anything. So I'm supposed to believe that mighty Dak Prescott is going to fear the Rubik's Cube that Bill Belichick puts out there? Nah, no way, no how. Because Ezekiel Elliott's playing well, because you motivated him, because you were out there trying to throw Tony Pollard and give him his parking space and his spot and all that. So Zeke and TP are playing well. They got 2 wide receivers that are ballers, Amari Cooper and CD Lamb. So what the Patriots normally do when they try and take away your fastball, they normally gang up and double up. But I don't know who the Cowboys stop. The only thing that can stop the Cowboys on Sunday is if the Cowboys' maturity or lack thereof prevents them from giving the Patriots the proper respect. Otherwise, they should beat the brakes out of the Patriots because on paper, the talent isn't even close.
Beat the brakes.
Bucky, I appreciate how you said that. No how, no way. Yeah, this is Marcellus. I actually commend you. I didn't know how you were going to make a pitch to make this the least bit convincing because you're talking about a history of a Patriots team that is not this Patriots team against a Dallas Cowboys team that is not this Dallas Cowboys team. That's the distinction that we have right here. Okay. And what proved all of this to me, and again, this is why I was looking forward to being on the show with Bucky today, because the last time we talked a lot of Cowboys, and I was very skeptical of where they are, and we also talked a little bit about the Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how the Patriots and that matchup and how the Patriots didn't have anybody who could start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We conveniently neglected to talk about the quarterbacks for the Patriots. I didn't want to get back to that. But all that said, the Patriots are 2-3. They've beaten the two arguably worst teams in the league. And the Dallas Cowboys have demonstrated that, yes, even going up against a top 5 defense, which once upon a time was an issue, they demonstrated against the Carolina Panthers exactly what they're capable of. They proved to me that if it comes to it, a defense is not going to take apart their offense, not with all the talent that they have now, not with the way that Dak Prescott is playing. And I look at the New England Patriots, and they are really just a lesser version of the Carolina Panthers. Might be their equal when it comes to how they play defense, maybe. But offensively, their running attack does not compare to Carolina. And while I think Mac Jones is certainly a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, he's not to the point now with that group, with that receivers group, that I see them as being markedly better. So that mystique, all of that's in Tampa now. That's why you guys in the first segment are still all excited about the Buccaneers, even though they can't defend the pass. That haze, that's down south now. That's not in New England anymore. That's just fog. That's just mist.
Oh, we're going to do that to the Patriots. We're going to do that to Belichick, like he didn't neutralize Tom Brady this year. Like Belichick, when you look at passing yards, because this team is really built on Dak Prescott's shoulders and throwing arm. We know about that. Because Zeke, as much as I respect his last couple of weeks, Zeke even said this: I'm still trying to get my legs under me, and I'm still trying to get my confidence back. Oh, you leaking, homeboy. And you gonna meet Bill Belichick? Oh, he gonna stifle that running game and watch your confidence go away, putting all that pressure on Dak Prescott. Now, I know Dak can handle the pressure. The problem is, if you make a team one-dimensional and Bill Belichick's on the sidelines, it's dust, it's dirt, it's a wrap. Look at the passing yards of the other teams. Because, Bucky, you try to slight Bill Belichick like he still ain't out there dealing in terms of defense. Do you see anybody throw for 300 yards against this defense? Nope. Matter of fact, you see 3 quarterbacks throw for under 200 yards. Well, you better watch out. So if Ezekiel Elliott's trying to find his legs, meanwhile, Tony Pollard's taking his parking spot, and then you see Dak is the only thing out there clicking. You make a team one-dimensional facing New England, facing Bill Belichick, y'all got problems. Because, did y'all watch when they played Tampa Bay? And even my man, Chris Collinsworth, had to say, I just need to stop down right now for you guys to witness the genius we're seeing on display. Belichick ran a defense, and I played defense in the league for a decade. I ain't never seen that defense in my life. Tom Brady hadn't either. Running 2 5s and guys going zigzag, diagonal, it was insane. So once he makes the Cowboys one-dimensional, because he will, all of a sudden Dak Prescott's going to have it all on his shoulders. Will he be able to answer that bell?
There we go, Marcellus. You over there looking at Bill Belichick as if he's the emperor with no clothes. But here's what I'm going to do, because I've seen this thing. You're worried about the mystique and all this. You know who the Patriots are? The Patriots are the San Antonio Spurs without Tim Duncan.
Ooh.
You remember how great Greg Popovich was with Tim Duncan? You remember how we talked about that franchise and how it's the culture and all the things that the Spurs do? But as soon as Tim Duncan exited stage right, the San Antonio Spurs haven't been in the playoffs since.
Man.
And I'm beginning to wonder if the New England Patriots are not the same without Tom Brady. And I was the biggest one that was all in the Kool-Aid saying, it's Belichick, it's this, it's that. But the more these L's compile, the more I'm beginning to look at the Patriots just like I look at Greg Popovich. It is all good when you got the great players, homie. But when you don't, you can't win. So that coaching thing is great. But great coaches are great because they have great players. And right now, the Patriots don't have great players, which is why they're not going to beat a Cowboys team that's looking like a great one.
Now, Marcellus, if I'm not mistaken, you ran track, right?
Ran track. I was a national record holder. You better recognize.
Yes, exactly. You didn't compete. You didn't compete in the long jump, right?
I did, but I wasn't that good.
You were in the long jump. Because the leap that you made from like how Bill Belichick is going to just like make them one-dimensional because Ezekiel Elliott says his legs aren't under him yet. In spite of the fact that his legs aren't under him yet, he's running just fine. And when he's not, Tony Pollard is. So this idea that Bill Belichick, because Ezekiel Elliott said,
on the ropes.
my legs aren't under me yet, is now going to make them one-dimensional. I'm not giving you that.
Okay.
The Cowboys present a two-pronged problem that the New England Patriots don't have the personnel to have an answer for. In fact, I'd say there's probably a better chance that they slow down Dak Prescott and that passing offense than they do the rushing offense with all of the weapons that they have. So I'm not giving you that. And if I'm not mistaken, Tampa Bay still won that game in spite of everything else. You're talking about upset. We're not talking about get close.
Oh, Slick, you got me on the ropes. I ain't gonna lie, boy. I am feeling it. I'm about to rope-a-dope, though, but I feel it right now. I can't believe you guys really haven't watched football games. Like, I guess, Bucky, I know you got so many articles and so many jobs. You got to watch Jacksonville. I know you work with them. But damn, can you watch the games? The Patriots have already had 3 games decided by 3 points or fewer, and that is second in the league. They play close. Don't act like the Patriots aren't right there, even if they come up that small and that close in a loss. You better stop that because they still have culture. Now, I thought you wise gentlemen would be up here preaching about culture, because culture means you can plug and play. It means, all right, we've changed the players. You're right. No more Willie McGinnis. No more Teddy Bruschi. But we got Judon in the building, out there beasting. You act like this defense still isn't top 5 ranked. So now with this culture and that mystique and that aura and Bill Belichick, he goes out there and he looks at the other sideline. And you know, playing football, we ain't nothing but human chess pieces. And coaches on the sideline being the chess master. And he looks over there at Mike McCarthy and say, you know I own you, big dog. I'm 3-1 against you, Mike McCarthy. You know I have a 750 win percentage when I'm here in Foxborough. And all of a sudden, the Dallas Cowboys, who are on the rise, may blink. And if they blink in that moment, it's going to be too late. It's going to be dark curtains. Coming up, Tom Brady. Did y'all believe that? Tom Brady has not held up the MVP hardware in a minute. I'll tell you if he's the front runner right now. Next on Speak for Yourself. All I need for them to do is win. Tom Brady was busy being, well, Tom Brady in last night's win over the Eagles. Threw for nearly 300 yards with 2 touchdown passes and now leads the league in both categories. Brady currently has the 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 best MVP odds right now, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. Got to bring in co-host of The Herd, Joy Taylor. So, Joy, is Tom Brady the MVP frontrunner? I actually hit that note.
I appreciate you singing that song because there's so many options when it comes to Joy name puns. It's not Tom Brady. It's Kyler Murray. And we're really splitting hairs here, but Kyler is undefeated. He is putting up MVP numbers. And I think when you are evaluating who should be the MVP, the conversation about the numbers and individual performance is obviously very important. But when it comes down to splitting hairs, how's the team doing? And his team is doing better. They're 5-0. We're showing a comparison here to who I think it should be at the top of the conversation, which is Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and, of course, the GOAT, Tom Brady. But as you can see in the loss column, there is a 0, which means they have won all of their games, while he has the highest completion percentage, passing yards per attempt, and passer rating right now in the league. So Kyler's lighting it up. They're the best watch in the NFL. He has the numbers, they have the wins, and I believe when you're evaluating who should be at the top of that list, wins and individual performance should matter. And look, Tom Brady is playing out of his mind. He's almost as if he's aging backwards, right? He's defeated Father Time. We know that. But their loss, I do think, was significant. It was against a good team, but the issues that we're seeing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might continue. They continue to have these injuries in their secondary, which I think will be a big problem moving forward. Obviously, that doesn't have anything to do with Tom Brady's individual performance, but it might reflect in the win-loss column. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray right now.
There it is.
Yeah, I am not going with Benjamin Button. I mean, Tom Brady. And I actually, it's not splitting hairs. Tom Brady is not the front runner. And I would name, and you listed them, Joy, 2 or 3 of those guys ahead of Tom Brady decisively as MVP candidates because they are doing more with less. I understand what Brady is doing statistically as a passer. I brought it up earlier in the show. in terms of who they've played against, the kind of passing defenses that they've played against. I can't help but feel that that has helped. But you're bringing back a Super Bowl team, all of the starters from a Super Bowl team. And when I look at what Kyler Murray is doing with the Arizona Cardinals, a team that is much like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, where you're bringing in a lot of new pieces that are contributing to the all. But also Kyler Murray being a dual threat in a way that Tom Brady is not. He is doing it in both ways at the quarterback position. I look at the same with Justin Herbert and what they have, or Josh Allen with Buffalo. Buffalo is a little more balanced in terms of talent, a little closer to Tampa Bay. But I look at what those guys are doing, and I guess some of this is also how you define most valuable. I just feel as if those guys are carrying far more weight, having to make a far bigger contribution for their teams to be right there where Tampa Bay is. And if you look at who they've played, strength of schedule, Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had a much easier schedule than the Arizona Cardinals for sure. And they'll continue to have that. But I'm going to weigh that as a factor. Kyler Murray is doing more with less against tougher competition.
Oh, man, got to echo what you guys are saying. More of what Joy is saying, because I think it is closer than Slick is saying. But it is Kyler Murray. It's not Tom Brady in this situation. We got to remember, it's not just your production, what the man is doing out there on the field, but it's also what does it mean to the NFL at large. Y'all got to remember, this is a voting trophy. That means it's a little bit of marketing in this. And NFL Marketing 101 says if there's a tie, it goes to the new guy. Why? Because that expands our reach. Expands our demo. Another individual's fan base and that team's fan base gets involved in something versus saying, another one for Brady. Hey, Brady, go win another Super Bowl. You know, you do that pretty well. But this MVP thing, can we pass that around? You guys ever go to the banquet? I love going to like little Pop Warner banquets, you know. People out there mad, everyone gets a participation trophy. Why? Them kids are disciplined, dedicated. Let them go out there even if they lose every single game. I ain't mad at little Tommy. But when you go to those banquets, it's funny. There's always like one player that you just like, that little dude, number 2 is good. So he wins the MVP. But number 4 was good too, but he just wasn't as good as number 2. So guess what they give him? Most outstanding or best performance. They start making up these little trophies for these little kids, right? I ain't gonna lie, right now, they're gonna have to make up something else for Tom Brady and everybody else, because Kyler Murray's getting the big dog. He's getting the number 2 trophy. He's getting the MVP in this conversation. I'll tell you why. It's just simple. He's ahead of Tom Brady in completion percentage, and it ain't that close, by 7%. He's ahead of Tom Brady in passer rating by 5. He's ahead of Tom Brady in passing yards per attempt. That means I'm taking some risks, brother, and still completing them. So Tom Brady doesn't compare to Kyler Murray in the statistical conversation. But when you start adding his name and it's Tom Brady and he's 44 years old, then he starts helping himself in the marketing. But tie goes to the new guy.
Marcellus, you're making me feel bad, you know. I won Miss Photogenic in my pageant when I was a little girl. I knew I didn't win. My mom was trying to convince me I won something. I'm like, that's not the crown. Where's the crown?
That ain't it.
She got the crown. That means I lost. I don't care about a Miss Photogenic. So you're saying Tom Brady is Miss Photogenic right now.
I mean, look good, but...
He does look good. He does look good. They look good. And I do think we're maybe kind of counting them out a little bit too much. Again, I am concerned about the secondary, but we're talking about all these other teams because, to your point, they're new. We like shiny and new. I don't think that the MVP in the NFL is as political as, say, the NBA, where we start talking about the MVP before the season even starts.
Right.
It's a very narrative-driven MVP. It's still a prestigious thing to win, obviously, but I don't think it's as political. I do think that it's very measured, and we rarely have a pushback on who wins. Like, we're outraged that that's how it went. They picked the right guy generally, but Rick, to your point, what he's doing is very dynamic. And that's also important because he is making plays with his legs. Since the start of last season, only one quarterback has more rushing yards, and no one has more rushing touchdowns than Kyler Murray. The more rushing yards is Lamar Jackson, obviously, who is the most dynamic rushing quarterback in the league. He's the only quarterback with double-digit passing touchdowns with 3 or more rushing touchdowns. So he's doing it with his legs. He's doing it through the air. He does have a lot of weapons, and they just added another one in Zach Ertz. But I think that it's very obvious that he is the playmaker on that team. He has taken over the mantle of the leadership in that team and taken a massive step up this year. And that's why he deserves the MVP at this point in the season. I disagree with you, Rick, that it's not close. I'm with Marcellus on this. I think it's very close between all of these guys. And there's a lot of football left to play. But right now, Kyler Murray is leading the way.
This question and the way you guys have answered it is why people don't like Tom Brady. It's the same thing with LeBron James. Like, it's not that he's not in the conversation. It's fine. We can put Tom Brady in the conversation for MVP. He's leading in all these passing statistics. Why not put him in the conversation? But that's not the question. The question is Tom Brady the front runner? Hell no, he's not the front runner, okay? Marcellus, you made it clear. You just gave me the laundry list of why Kyler Murray is the front runner, and then we can talk about everybody else.
Okay.
And we should talk about Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, maybe even Dak Prescott, as much as we're talking about Tom Brady. But this is the way the conversation goes. And if I'm a little irritated, if I seem a little irritated, it's because I've lived this in the NBA with LeBron James. It's always LeBron James. He's always the starter of the conversation. For once, whether it's political or otherwise. Could we just start with, is Kyler Murray the front runner for MVP? Why couldn't we do that? Because that is so clear that that's where we should have started. But no, it has to be Tom Brady. Is he the front runner? No, he's not the front runner. I'm done.
Strong, Slick. Strong, Slick. I don't know. I'm not a producer, but maybe we led with Tom Brady because he played last night and he's leading the league in passing touchdowns and passing yards per game. I don't know. Maybe that's
Doesn't
the
make
reason.
it right.
That helps. You know our minds right now. We're in a microwave society, microwave mentality. News cycles every 24 hours. We got to get it in, get it out. But, Joey, I got to push back. Oh, you think that the MVP in the NFL is not politicized? It certainly gets humanized, and they start placing agendas into this MVP conversation. How many times did I hear about Russell Wilson year after year? MVP vote. When's he going to get it? Remember Drew Brees was in contention for about 10 weeks there? Oh, Drew Brees finally going to get it. And we're inserting people at times, and then we make it grander because of the story that comes with them. Well, if the NFL likes to do that, well, guess what they're going to do with Kyler Murray? If Kyler Murray gives him 5 more weeks of what he's already done, oh, my God, good luck to anybody else. And it's going to be tied to the new guy. What I see happening in this MVP conversation takes me back to a conversation I had with the late, great Kobe Bryant. And Kobe, in a weird way, was trying to give himself a compliment, but he also was like, look, let me just give you a understanding of the landscape. Because everybody's like, oh, Kobe is a facsimile of Michael Jordan. And he was just like, look, I'm not even concerned with that. You know what is impressive to me is the fact that every time you talk about who's the next Jordan, you always say somebody else and Kobe. Somebody else and Kobe. Remember, it was Harold Miner and Kobe. Then it was T-Mac, Kobe. And then you keep going, Grant Hill, Kobe. Like, Kobe found some solace in the fact that you always got to mention his name. And Slick, you took that as like a negative, but the late, great Kobe took it as a positive. I think Tom Brady would take it as a positive. But if we really have to go into the details and dive in the weeds, obviously he's going to come up a little short compared to Kyler Murray.
I was talking about LeBron James. You can use Kobe's name all you want in comparison to Michael Jordan. I'm good with that.
Should we go to commercial off of who's better, LeBron
Okay,
or Kobe?
but LeBron, not to change the whole conversation, but
yeah.
you could make the argument most of the years of LeBron's career that he was the MVP or was number 2 to whoever won the MVP. So that ties into the Kobe conversation. With Tom Brady, I don't know that you can make the argument every year that Tom Brady was the MVP of the league. And that's why I would say that it's not as political. I think the NFL does a good job of evaluating who is the biggest contributor to their team and does it translate to actual wins. Have they been consistent throughout the year from the beginning to the end of the year at an MVP level? That isn't always necessarily the case in the NBA. Sometimes we got to pick which storyline we're going to travel to. Not that everyone who hasn't won it hasn't absolutely deserved it, but I do think that unlike Tom Brady, LeBron could always be in that conversation.
Steve Nash. Coming up, Odell Beckham Jr. is not seeing a lot of action in Cleveland right now. No, Nash was balling. I'll tell you if the Browns have an OBJ problem. Next, don't speak for yourself. Wasn't balling that much, though.
The Browns put up more than 500 yards on offense in last week's loss to the Chargers. But Odell Beckham Jr. only had 3 targets. 3. He has also played in 3 games since returning from his ACL injury, but has 0 TD catches. 0. Take a listen to OBJ on his role.
I can't sit there and lie like I don't want the ball. I know that I bring a lot of teaching, a lot of attention to defenses on the other end, and other people are going to be open. And, you just got to live with that. The ultimate goal is to win the championship. And I feel like I'm in a great situation to do that.
So, Marcellus, do the Browns have an Odell Beckham Jr. problem?
Yes, they have an OBJ problem. Shout out to those Oakleys. Were those Oakleys? Damn, I'm jealous. I ain't got those. They had to send those directly. All right, look, Odell, I saw you play last weekend with the Cleveland Browns and your quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm sitting there, 2 things I was thinking. One, I want to be wrong about Baker Mayfield because I don't wish ill on anybody. I want him to make me eat crow. He didn't. But also, I noticed the lack of chemistry between them. Now, that goes both ways. Here's the problem. Odell, you dropped the ball right across the middle, slapped you all in the hand, slapped you all in the head, and I looked directly at Baker Mayfield, because this is what players do. We want to know what you're really thinking. And Baker looked at him like, okay. Opportunities diminished. Just because of that right there, like the trust factor is already this paper thin between those two. And when Odell dropped that ball, I think that was basically an indictment. Hey, you're only going to get 3 targets today. Now, here's the problem with Baker Mayfield and why they have an OBJ problem. Because Odell ain't sorry, y'all. I won't give a damn. If Hollywood Brown and Lamar Jackson, and they can work out their relationship, and Hollywood dropped 3 touchdowns in 1 game, and then all of a sudden he comes back and scores multiple touchdowns. If they can work that out, Baker, work it out with Odell Beckham. But first, let me remind you who Odell Beckham is. Before he met you, dog, in 59 games, he had 44 touchdowns. Oh, my God. And this is what the ashes, the remains, the death certificate of the career of Eli Manning was out there throwing him the football. Eli was done. And Eli was doing this with OBJ. But then look to the right. Then he sees you, Baker. Hooks up with you. All bad. So you can't put it all on OBJ. Yeah, I know he's been injured. He's dropped the ball here or there, obviously. But he's too talented. And Baker Mayfield, a guy who's trying to get over the hump in terms of perception, needs to extract all of that talent that he has in his receiving core. So, yeah, they got an OBJ problem because they're not getting the most out of their star receiver.
I don't know that it's a problem, but I've always felt like it wasn't a good fit. Now, I think Odell's been a good soldier through it all. When this first happened, I was like, ugh, Cleveland's? It's Cleveland's. Like, they're not the Cleveland Browns that we have now, which is loaded, and a roster that is on paper is very impressive. And Baker has 15 commercials. That's not the Browns that Odell went to.
Right.
So when he first went to the Browns, there was a question of, is this even a good fit for him? He's a big star. To your point, he's coming from New York. He has the catch. Like, he's an NBA player in the NFL. And somehow the Browns have managed to marginalize Odell Beckham Jr. Now, he has been injured, so it's been hard to get some momentum going. But I feel like we have this conversation every year since he's been there. How are we going to get Odell involved? How are we going to get Odell back to being Odell from New York? And it just doesn't fit. It's like a grandpa in skinny jeans. Like, we appreciate the effort, okay? We're not hating.
Yes, we are
hating. We understand. We appreciate the effort. It's just a little awkward. It's just a little awkward. It's not a problem. We get what you're trying to do here, but it just doesn't fit. And fit is important. This is not what the Cleveland Browns do. Like, can you imagine Odell with, like, I don't know, Justin Herbert?
Say it.
You know?
Keep going. Talk.
just a more dynamic offense where, anywhere where you feel like the quarterback has the runway to just let it fly, because that's what you want to do with Odell, and that's not what the Browns do. And that's not Odell's fault. That's not Baker's fault. It's not the Browns' fault, because it's working. So this whole idea that it's a problem is only a problem because it's Odell, like because of that name, Odell. If this was any other receiver, be like, he is a part of a championship contending team, and we're going to do what leads to wins, and everyone's buying in. And Odell's buying in. He's saying, of course I want targets. Of course I want to contribute, but I also want to win a championship. So I don't lay this at the feet of anyone directly. I just don't think it's a good fit. It's never really been a good fit. If you look at the numbers with and without him, it's not been a massive difference. And again, this is because it's Odell Beckham Jr. He is a star, and it just doesn't work in this particular offense. So it's not a problem per se, because they're winning. And they're growing and they're developing, and Baker is mostly doing what he's being asked to do, and they are a run-first offense. But it maybe just never was the right fit.
Ooh, strong.
There is a problem. No, it's not that the Browns have an Odell Beckham Jr. problem, because for that to be the case, it would mean that OBJ is not capable of doing the job. And by Marcellus's point, he's demonstrated what he's capable of doing as a wide receiver. OBJ has a Baker Mayfield problem because OBJ is not getting the ball. And what we know about Baker Mayfield is he's not able to throw into tight windows. He's not able to throw guys open. And the way teams are defending the Cleveland Browns in general, and OBJ in particular, that is a prerequisite in order to get him the ball and make the most out of what OBJ is capable of. I'm glad, Joy, you pointed it out. Like, if you imagine OBJ with Russell Wilson, with Justin Herbert, with Tom Brady, I mean, with Mac Jones. I mean, I could go down the list of guys where I go, we'd see OBJ. We're not seeing OBJ because of Baker Mayfield. And so that's where the crux is. And the problem, the reason it's a problem, is because OBJ could be doing so much more for the Cleveland Browns, and he could be living up to the contract that he's being paid. He's not capable of doing that in this instance. And if you're wondering, just like, how bad is Baker Mayfield? Like, the company that he's keeping right now when it comes to bad throw percentage, the reason that they are being so conservative with him in their offense isn't by choice. It isn't because Stefanski's just saying, "Hey, look, I want to take the Pete Carroll approach to things. We're gonna run the ball and we're gonna play defense." It's because Baker is with guys that are brand new to the program, and that's not Baker Mayfield. So if there's an issue as to why OBJ is not getting the ball and not being targeted, is because Baker can't get it there. And that means OBJ can't be OBJ. And for what he's getting paid, that, in my mind, is a problem.
Man, they got a problem all around. Like, skip the semantics. They got a problem. OBJ got a problem with Baker Mayfield. He want to dog curse him. I would if I were him. But he can't do that because he already has that reputation. He used up all of those lies when he was in New York. I get it, OBJ. You're smart. Also, they got a problem with this offense and this team as a whole because Baker Mayfield can't take advantage of having OBJ as his receiver. Joy, here we go. You say they don't have a problem because they're winning. Yeah, you're winning, but at what clip? What grade would you give them? You wouldn't give them an A+ because they haven't won a Super Bowl. You wouldn't even maybe give them an A- because you're like, yeah, you won one playoff game. Let's just say, for conversation purposes, A-, B+ team. All right, I respect that. Here's the thing. If you haven't done it all, there's more you can do. And in this situation, there's a problem. And I personalize this story. I had a problem growing up studying. I had study habit problems. I was a B to A student. This is elementary years. And I wanted to be an A to B student. So this is what I did. I used to come home every day, and Transformers would be on at 3:30. I used to get home at like 3:18. Transformers coming on. I'm like, all right, I'm about to study. No, I ain't. I'm about to watch I'm watching Optimus Prime. I'm watching Jazz. I'm watching Megatron. I'm doing what I got to do. Next thing you know, it's time to go play outside. All right. Next thing, the night is gone, and you didn't study. So I was a B to A student. I had a problem studying. All I had to do was put in a little more work on something, and all of a sudden things flipped around. It's the same thing here. Because, Joy, the Browns are 25th in passing offense. You shouldn't be able to say that when Odell Beckham Jr. is on your team. They are 22nd in passing yards per game. Hell yeah, they got a problem. And it's all around because this team could be doing more if they took advantage of what they have already. Coming up, the new-look Lakers. Yuck. Oh, did not win one game in the preseason. All right, that's cool. I'll tell you if I'm convinced they will figure it out when the games really count. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. You watch Transformers, Joey?
Don't sound so broke up about that, Marcel.
Lakers' big three played last night. LeBron dropped 30 points. But LA still lost in their preseason finale. The new-look Lakers have high expectations this season, but they finished winless in the preseason. Carmelo Anthony said before last night's loss, quote, I think we'll figure it out much quicker than people are giving us credit for. Okay, so Slick, you convinced the Lakers will figure it out?
So this is such a nebulous question, because what does figure it out mean? Does it mean that they are going to win a game? Yes, I do think they'll figure out how to win a game. Do I think they're going to figure out how to be the team everyone has projected them to be based on their talent, or rather the names that they have? That's where I depart and I say, no, I don't. I haven't seen anything in the preseason that makes me think that these pieces are going to be any different collectively than they have been individually over the last couple of years. Anthony Davis right now does not look particularly inspired. Okay, it's preseason, but that was the issue last year. And we've heard it from Russ Westbrook, from LeBron James, any number of guys. Like, he's got to be the driving force of this team. I've seen none of that to this point. Russ Westbrook needs to raise that shooting percentage and be more efficient. Needs to turn over the ball less and make better plays. Have I seen that? No, I have not seen that. LeBron James, we need to take more off of his plate. Haven't seen that. He needs to reduce the turnovers. We need to improve the free throw shooting. And perhaps more important than any of that, we need to find a way to play defense better than all of our individuals have played defense in recent years. They were the #1 team in defense last year. They lost their top 3 defenders over the offseason. Based on what I've seen, I'm not worried about the offense clicking. There's a lot of just individual firepower there. They can't stop anybody. They played the Warriors without Steph Curry and Draymond Green. They couldn't stop Jordan Poole and Juan Toscano-Anderson. So that, to me, if we're talking about are they going to figure out how to be what everybody has projected them to be, I have yet to see the rudiments that would tell me, yes, they are going to figure it out.
Yeah, the Lakers are going to figure it out. I got to be honest, I'm not checking for the preseason like that, especially for the oldest team in the NBA. The only Lakers to play in all 6 games have been Rondo, Bazemore, and Reeves. LeBron played in 3. Westbrook played in 4. I can't go crazy on evaluating what the Lakers are going to look like through the preseason. I know fans are going to, raise an eyebrow at the fact that they didn't win a preseason game, but this is LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. I am going to have a little bit of confidence in them moving forward. Now, I understand that you want to see some momentum going into the regular season, but again, they're the oldest team in the NBA, so the preseason is not for that. If this was a really young team and we want to see, the new rookie and how he looks with the other pros, that's one thing. But that's not the situation here. It's going to be a long time before I start panicking with the Lakers. Also, LeBron led teams when there's a new group or a new team, they tend to start a little slow, and then the panic happens, and then they eventually figure it out because it's LeBron James. 2010, 2011 Heat started 9-8. 2014, 15 Cavs to 19-20. 18, 19 Lakers, 2-5. So, yes, is it going to take a little while to get everybody going, everyone back in tip-top shape, get all the pieces working together? Yes, they're all veterans, and we have some questions about how it's all going to fit. I have no doubt that they'll figure it out, and I'm not going to panic about the preseason.
Say it, Joy, up here doing your homework. You ain't watch Transformers, huh? You do your homework. All right, here's the thing. Oh, man, you know they're going to figure it out. This team is going to be a squad. Like, I am not even saying this tongue-in-cheek because you know I'm a Clippers fan, but the Lakers are coming. I learned this from my NFL experience to never bet against a worker. You know, somebody comes in with talent, whatever you want to grade them in terms of talent, be careful. You need to look at their work habits. And if they are working, oh, they're going to achieve. Now, I look at this Lakers team and I see nothing but workers. Now, you can't come at AD and condemn him in terms of his approach. One, he's injury prone. We all know that. And two, it's the preseason right now, and dude just got married. He even invited me to the wedding. I was like, dog, I don't go to no Lakers wedding, homie. I ain't going there. But the point being, he got some things on his mind, including, hey, I got to make sure my foundation is straight at home. I just got married. And more importantly, I got to be there for this team when it counts the most in the playoffs. You can't look at Russell Westbrook and try and take shots at him. Russell Westbrook was most efficient when he was in Houston off ball. What is he in Los Angeles? Going to be off ball. You're going to see an efficient Russell Westbrook. Can't take shots at Melo. People want to take shots at Melo. All Melo does is spot up from three and make shots. Shot 43.5% from beyond the arc. In the preseason, that doesn't matter. Shout out to Chris Brickley, always training my man and getting him right. Since LeBron's been in L.A., 25-8-8. You could just pencil it in. This team is going to be squad because LeBron James is the ultimate chaser. I don't know if y'all like to hydrate like I like to hydrate, but I like a drink or three. And I know one thing. If LeBron James is in that drink, it's going to end up tasting good. LeBron James on your squad, somehow, some way, that's the same dude that played with Kyrie. Look how that's turning out right now with Kyrie. Same dude played with J.R. Smith. I got to get this off my chest. J.R. Smith, if you can't play golf at an HBCU, dog, you can't y'all caught that, right? Stop playing golf, dog. If you can't win there, you ain't going to win nowhere. Anyway, I digress. Point being, LeBron James on your squad's going to go out there and win some games.
Were we having the Tom Brady conversation again? It's LeBron James. Of course they're going to win. They're going to win it all. It's just a foregone conclusion.
They won it 2 years ago.
You guys make fair points.
Yeah.
They are old. I think we've pointed that out. But the league is young. And the league plays fast. It's a different game now. And I need to see them be able to acclimate to that. And again, all I wanted to see was some elements when they were all together in the preseason. I don't really care about the wins and losses. It was more a matter of, am I going to see things collectively that I look at and go, ooh, that's a problem. Individually, yes, I'm seeing that. Collectively, I keep seeing the Sacramento Kings and Jordan Poole and the Phoenix Suns, like all these guys going right by them for buckets. And I'm thinking, that ain't going to get you where you're supposed to go, which is ultimately the NBA Finals and a championship. So are they going to be good? Yes, they can't help but be good. They got too much talent not to be good. But figure it out, to me, means they're going to take all those names and that talent, and they're going to turn it into a championship. And that's where I stop short of saying they're going to figure it out. I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that they're capable of figuring that out.
Man, Joy knows this, but Slick, you old enough to remember the days when practice was just practice. I remember when practice was just practice. That's where you go and practice your left-hand layups, the spin move you haven't conquered. You actually work on the things you need to work on. And then one day you just looked up and practice became performance. I don't know what happened, all these specialty coaches and elite camps and all this, and coaches was like, yo, it's Wednesday, but you need to show it to me right now. I'm like, hey, man, chill. We play once a week. I am not mad at the Lakers who are realizing, hey, this is just practice, bruh. We ain't performing just yet. But when it counts, they gonna figure it out. Coming up, Tom Brady and Josh Allen and Dak Prescott are all having great seasons so far. But I'll tell you who the best quarterback in the NFL is right now. That's next on Street.
Patrick Mahomes' struggles this season have opened the door for best QB in the league right now talk. Tom Brady led his Bucs to their 5th win last night, and Josh Allen and Dak Prescott are both having impressive seasons for 4-1 teams. So, Joy, I have to ask, Who is the best quarterback in the league right now?
Patrick Mahomes struggles. You talking about the Chiefs' defense struggles?
Oh.
Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league right now. Let's not get crazy, all right? It's a very exciting time, and I'm into it. There's lots of incredible, electric young quarterback play. Kyler Murray's leading the MVP race. Justin Herbert, unbelievable. Where did he come from? He's a genius. I love it all. But Patrick Mahomes played in the Super Bowl a couple months ago, was flying sideways through the air, smacking his receivers in the face, trying to win the biggest game over an incredible defense. Yeah, let's just show it right here. Like, see that? There we go. Look at this superhero move. Sideways. Through the air, all right?
Tecmo Bowl.
He's already a Super Bowl champ, MVP of the league. He's already verified. Since he became a full-time starter in 2018, he leads the league in passing touchdowns, passing and rushing touchdowns. Next closest is 122. He has 137, and passing yards. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to win a Super Bowl and an MVP before turning 25. I can go on and on and on and on. The struggles in Kansas City are not at the feet of Patrick Mahomes. Yes, all of these other quarterbacks are very exciting, and they're playing incredible football, and they should be celebrated because it's amazing to watch. But Marcellus, I think you said this earlier, so I'll bring it back before we go to you.
Let's do it.
He already has the hardware, multiple levels of hardware. So until one of these guys goes out there and does it, then he is still at the top of the NFL.
Joy, you must have missed the part where I said the best quarterback in the league
Right now. I didn't miss that. Right now.
But Patrick has not been what he has been in the past this season so far. He's still very good, but all the problems are not solely on the defensive side of the ball. He's tried to be a hero. He's played hero ball, and it hasn't always worked out. Kyler Murray, you mentioned, as MVP. How can you be MVP of the league and not be the best quarterback in the league as of right now? Now, how we define quarterback and best arm and all of that, I could make the case that Kyler Murray isn't the best quarterback, but I have to make the case that he is having the biggest impact of anybody who plays the position. And in part because of dual threat, they were undefeated, what he does for that team. So for me, while there's other guys that if I'm picking a quarterback or a guy to be my quarterback, I might go with somebody else. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan. But that said, I can't argue with what he's doing right now, which is playing the position better than anybody else.
Strong argument, stronger than Joy's. Joy's, what? Living off name, not game right now. Patrick Mahomes is 2-4 in his last 6 games. 11 giveaways, tied with Jacksonville in terms of giving the ball to the other color. It ain't Patrick Mahomes right now, and it ain't Kyler Murray, despite him probably winning the MVP at this point in the season because of marketing as well. It's Justin Herbert, and it's simple. Y'all know, give me some style points right here. Justin Herbert is playing the position the best.
Give you some flip-flop points is what I'm going to give you.
People don't watch that long of the show, do they? But don't rewind this. Don't y'all DVR and rewind this. But he's playing the best at the position in the way that they say is the best way to play that position. You got to give him style points for that. Also, right now, you said right now? No other quarterback has 11 passing touchdowns since week 3. That includes Tom Brady, who just had an extra game last night. And no other quarterback has 3 games of 3 or more passing touchdowns with no interceptions. I leave you with this. It's right here. You ain't got to go far. You want to see the best quarterback on the planet? He's at SoFi, and he ain't with the Rams. Thanks for stopping by, Joy and Payne. We got to catch you tomorrow on your show, Joy Taylor Show on Fox Sports Radio, 2 Eastern.
Thank guys.
You. All right, we'll see you next Friday, whatever. Coming up, Myles Garrett has an interesting way of using them to show his Halloween spirit. I'll tell you if I love it or if I hate it. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Myles Garrett is in the Halloween spirit. But quarterbacks around the league might not like his decorations. Garrett put headstones of quarterbacks including Ben Roethlisberger, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert in his front yard. So, Slick, you love or hate Myles Garrett for doing this?
I love this, Marcellus. I wish he was my neighbor because I appreciate neighbors who go to the trouble of decorating for the holidays so that I can see it but I don't have to do it myself, and I don't have to break it down. I'm just hoping that you have a similar motif in your front yard, and you put that Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert take you had earlier in the show with a tombstone, because it deserves it.
Man, I love this too. For the same reason you do, Slick. So I don't have to do it. My neighbors do it. We just took a walk yesterday. The entire family going around the neighborhood. It's like this 20-foot skeleton over there. I don't think it's Myles Garrett. Somebody played for the Rams or Chargers. I don't know. Anybody. But the point is, it's so dope when you see it, and it's even better when it's not yours. Myles Garrett, way to have that spirit. Way to be a good neighbor. I don't like my neighbors. Have a great weekend. Fox Bet Live is next. They knows it.